Welcome back. We're still looking at a near 600-point pop on the indices. So yeah, whatever little cool off is probably too harsh a word for this. It's a very green-looking screen. How do you trade it? What do you do at these elevated levels? Well, let's ask a veteran. Atul Suri is our next guest on the show, CEO, Marathon Trends. Atul, great to have you on. Good morning, big morning. The question is, how do you deal with this? So we've got the 600-point pop. You know, tomorrow is the final exam, as we've been saying. What do you make of the markets at these elevated levels? And the question is, what's the advice? What do you do? You can't sit out of it, but how do you get in it?
Yeah, so the key thing is that obviously it's been a gap up, and you are going to have a lot of activity, especially this morning and maybe tomorrow morning, because a lot of positions people are positioned. There are some hedge shorts, there are some people who are naked short, and one must remember that we went into this event with no great euphoria. At an index level, we were 22,500, we were 22,200 even in Jan. So the interesting part is that the run up to this event, the market or the at an index level has been pretty flat. So that's a very, very big positive. Also, you'll notice that the market had been a pretty wobbly a few days before. So I think there are some shorts also in the system, and that's what the data shows. So this morning activity that you see, you'll see a pull up and then a cool off is all going to be a function of more of these kind of players. The more important thing that comes up or what concerns me is as an investor, if people are sitting on cash or people are waiting to deploy, how do you do it? I think that index per se, yes, it's always a good strategy with the broader market, but there are always pockets of the markets where there are trends. And being a trend investor, our job is ultimately to identify and navigate client portfolios there. So, what I am looking at for my investors is that I feel the next big thing is going to be this whole 125-day agenda. Interestingly, Modi's increased it from a 100-day of the new government to 125 days. And I feel that there are certain themes or sectors which when I go through it, or I get a sense that they will be where the action will be. And then activity will be based in those sectors or those themes where there is going to be some political push or the government push. So I feel that the areas that will really stand out is that I think there's going to be a lot on the electric vehicle side. Of course, Tesla is going to be a poster child, and the question is going to be, will they come now or later? But irrespective of that, I think electric vehicles will be a very big theme. There'll be a lot of push out there. Green energy, another area that I think is going to see a lot of government policy initiatives in the next 125 days. I think there's going to be a lot of clarification on the e-commerce side, especially the taxation side. So I feel there is going to be a lot of government clarity or trust in those areas. So these three sectors, I think, will be what you should look for. I think that there's going to be a lot of focus on 10 new cities for manufacturing. So the whole industrial activity or the industrial stocks or the capital goods and engineerings, I think will continue to sort of benefit from it. Another thing they've been talking about is digitization of land records. I think that this is going to be a game changer for the real estate sector. What demonetization did to financials, I think this digitization of land records will do to the real estate sector. Shipping and logistics, that's another area the government has been talking about. So these are the five key themes that I think will matter, because in this next 125-day agenda, I feel there will be a lot of policy push, policy initiatives, and then you will have to go and pick stocks and sectors in that thing. Broader market being what it is, I guess it just is an overall sentiment play. But I would actually focus on these themes and trends, which I think is what will reward the market or investors going ahead. That's where I would really go and deploy money now.
Okay. Atul, hi. Good morning. Prashant here. Good to see you. Can you identify a name or two each from each of these spaces?
No, can't, Prashant. Sorry. Regulatory issues, the nearest I can get to is talk about the themes or the sectors. But
Okay.
I can't really recommend stocks for regulatory reasons. I run a fund, so
okay.
It's
So the way you're no, fair enough. So the way you're approaching this is not so much in terms of letting the price action lead you, right?
Yeah.
But sort of having a slightly broader thematic kind of approach in terms of what are the big spots where one should look for action, and this action will emerge. Is that the way?
Yeah, I think so. See, one is an index play. You can come up and whatever, 2-3% up. Maybe something happens tomorrow also. We don't know what it will be. That's fine. That's the next 5% you take away. But the key thing is that where is the next 10, 15, 20, 30%, and from that point of view, as I said, that it will be important to play those themes, play those things. And the government or Modi has been very, very clear that his first 100 days, 125 days now is going to be a major thrust area where he says he's going to lay the blueprint, not just for the next 5 years, but the next 25 years or for whatever centuries to come. So I do think that there's going to be a lot of policy initiative that is going to come there. And that policy initiative is where you want to be, because that is giving you the direction for hopefully for the next 4 to 5 years. As far as this government, if it comes in and if the majority works out, that's as exit polls are. So I would really play for this on not just morning pop or tomorrow's pop or what is going to do this week, but I think I would really play this market for the next 3 to 5 years. And in these 3 to 5 years, this is something I saw between 2003 to 2008 also, that when you have an industrials based activity, industrial rally, what happens is these sectors and themes perform for the next 4 to 5 years. Very often the narrative is, oh, they've run up too much, they've become expensive. But you really see and go back in history and time and see that a lot of stocks in that phase had far, far outperformed the market. So as a portfolio manager or as an investor, my aim is to look at themes. And the themes that I laid out to you, whether it's electric vehicles, e-commerce, the land records thing, cities, new cities, shipping, logistics, I feel some action is going to happen even in the PSU banks. A lot of deals have been stuck up, waiting approval. So I think that these themes will be areas to focus on. The broader market, yes, it's an index, it's a larger trend, but ultimately our aim is to outperform. And we feel these pockets will give us opportunities going ahead. And all this, as I said, is the backdrop of a global market, which I think is also on a very good wicket. I think that the whole global equity bull market, as I said, we've kind of forgotten for the last few months because of local narrative. You realize that even there's a lot of activity. So we are in a good equity, positive, buoyant atmosphere. One is to just go out and seize the index, or second is to look for trends. And I feel that there are some very strong trends emerging right now.
Okay, Atul, I'm just recapping for the benefit of our viewers your 5 themes in case anyone's missed it. It's EV, green energy, e-commerce, cap goods and engineering, and real estate. Because of the digitization of land records that Atul is speaking about in terms of the government's policy thrust. Now, Atul, while you give us, by the way, hi, I mean, good to be talking, of course. While you give us these specific themes, if I read between the lines, is there an indication that maybe beyond today and tomorrow's pop, you're expecting the index to remain flat? What's the index view?
I'm not saying the index will remain flat. These are very important sectors. They itself can drive the index. But what I am trying to say is that beyond the index, the opportunities are very good in certain themes and sectors. And as an investor, the question is that, okay, I have money to deploy today. Where would I deploy? The answer is clear that I would deploy in these 4 or 5 themes. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay. Atul, just to go away from what to buy for a bit on the other debate in the market, right? The whole debate on liquidity, which is anyway hard to guess or second guess. Now, this whole FPI business about FPI money coming in, shorts getting covered, the technical aspects of this move, what do you expect over the next couple of days?
See, I think it will show out in the next 2 or 3 days. Initially, what happens is that the trading shorts, which are even domestic, a lot of guys have made hedges or some people would have been short. The morning will actually bring them into cover, right? And that is something that you're going to see initially, or maybe that's what you're seeing right now. The important things that we've got to see is that what is the flows that come, and that we will only come to know at the end of today and tomorrow. That one is the short covering, but is it followed up with portfolio buying? Because if you get portfolio buying as a follow-up, then this market can run up much, much more from where it is. However, if there is no portfolio investment, like, you have a large FIS sell figure, not that I'm saying it's going to happen. I'm just giving you, scenarios that are playing out, then I guess, things may cool off on the broader market. So the thing is that step one is all about short covering and all the trading positions which get so-called recalibrated. And then number two, which I think is a larger trend, is that is fresh flows coming in, and where they are coming in is more important. So as I said, for 1 or 2 days, you may see a lot of adjustments happening in portfolio positionings. But I think beyond that, you will see larger trends playing out. And that's where I feel that the 4 or 5 themes that I mentioned is where I feel that money will flow. And that's where I feel that opportunities will happen. On days like this, when you have such large index moves, everything does well, something little, something more. but it's not going to be always. Beyond that, it will be few themes, few sectors, few trends that will create the wealth, and that's where we would like to be.
No, you're absolutely right, and you got to be in the right spaces, right? And you get that right, and then it becomes a lot easier because you know
70% of your work, Prashant, gets done.
Is done.
70% of your work gets done. It's like defense, right?
Yeah.
I mean, whether you put A, B, C, X, Y, Z, there are 6 or 7 stocks. Even if you pick the worst, it was a good year for you. So the fact is that if you get the themes, the trends right, I think 70% of the work gets done.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's been that kind of a market as well, where these kind of things are, I mean, this is working. I mean, there are sort of, there's policy support, there's that kind of tailwind and
trends work.
Focus is
Trends are your
work.
friends
Absolutely.
till the end when they bend.
I remember this one from our chat in Market Cafe. That was the famous last words in that particular conversation. The trend is your friend until the end, until it bends. Prashant.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we'll hold off the sort of latter part for later, right? So,
yes, fingers crossed.
No, fingers crossed. Absolutely. We'll leave it there. Atul, a great conversation today. Thank you very much for joining us, and hope we can sort of have you back on once we have the actual results tomorrow, right? Because then we can talk with more certainty that the numbers are in the bag.
Out for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. We'll chat again. Thank you very much. That's Atul Suri, Marathon Trends with Perspective 23.